Take a deep breath. I have a story to tell you. Before time began and before space became, there was a deep, dark blackness, and the blackness was love. This dark, this blackness, this love was full of everything and nothing, inside and outside. Darkness was all that is, ever was, could be, and will be. The emptiness is so rich, it bends the mind, break it, shatter it, then stitch it back together, intricately, delicately, perfectly. Consider this. Within a deep and quiet crevice of the space of being made and unmade erupted desire. Want. Desire rode and rose on the sounds of beating drums, riding and rising, filling and spreading through the thickness of dark. Each drum sound full of love called together universes and galaxies and planets, each full of its own mysteries. The darkness was powerful. Love fed desire, and so began the gathering. Love that was of the same note essences became the light. Those that were of the note essence of green became the trees, blue became the sea, and the others that were the same became the earth, with insects and birds and fish and worms, living and dying, all coming into and out of darkness. In all its fullness, the drum sound rose. Love, again loving all that it loves, created more and became heavier and heavier to carry. And the drum sound rose, becoming louder, weaker, and stronger and calmer. And with love and unlove and in love, all fusing and melting into one, becoming and unbecoming, rumbling, rolling, spreading and sinking. And the sound fused the rest of love into a beam that holds love and the absence of love, creation and destruction, life and death. This being was and is love. It holds this fragile and sacred power called loving. It will live and it will die. In this time and this space, this is you.
Yenge mama, give me yenge, oh. Yenge mama, give me yenge, why, oh. Yenge mama, give me yenge. Yenge mama, give me yenge, oh. Yenge mama, give me yenge. Why, oh, yenge mama, give me yenge. I would like to tell you about a woman. She is black. She was heavy. It is as if she carried the weight of a tribe of women charged with a mission penciled in their blood. I think I dream about her at nights. She carried the moon inside her. It spilled out of her in song. She was the dark when the dark was stirred in a cauldron. She whispered ancient secrets to me into the early morning, if only I could understand them. You see, her knowings are marked in her blood, blood that got lost on its way to me. Drowned in oceans, perhaps, or fell out of trees. She was dark when dark was deceit, a carrier of lies, And like many, I spread my arms, opened my skin, and soaked up every drop. Lies struggled to learn are never easy to unlearn. But the truth is, the truth she carried was etched there by ancient tribes and are coated in an unknown substance, something raw, like a sore, which drops of her blood sear the edges, creating pus with strange colors. Lies. She was dark when dark was sick, an infection spreading, rotting from the inside, my own stink rising, the stench seeping into the years I keep living. Living the lies I never found the wit to decipher, never learning to unlearn. She was dark when dark was lost. I'm searching, blind, for the tribe that lives in my own blood, imprinted with my own wisdom. I'm searching for the dark when the dark was healing. Unrotting my own flesh in her bombs, I'm searching for her. I was born in the front room on a moonless night. My head was lit by a kitchen bitch lamp, and I came out knowing that I was leaving the safest place I will ever be, and it wasn't worth the crying they tried to slap out of me. 7 generations of women, all born on April 7, and this particular one gave birth on Easter Monday, 1760. They told me her screams echoed the war cry of the day. She cried because she could not stand beside the father of her children to fight for an idea of freedom, not for her, but for the child making its way out of her insides. Taki had decided that the time was now. The redcoats were coming, and even though we were not ready, they sounded the abeng in the cover of dark. The kitchen bitch outed, and the women began to pray. Don't you trouble Zion. Don't you trouble Zion. Zion have the keys to open sinners' hearts. Don't you trouble Zion. Don't you trouble Zion. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil. When I was a child, I knew God. I knew he was a man, and I knew where he lived. I never figured out where he went to the toilet, but I knew without a shadow of a doubt where he was. I knew where to find him. He was in the old building next door, 20 feet from the house I was born in. The one that at some point in my life I vowed never to return. Long story for another time. But it is the one I now long for. The hollowness inside is unbearable. I mean, have you ever felt like nothing means anything? They tell you that life should have meaning, but they don't tell you what to do when it doesn't. Am I the only one who feels like that? you know, have you ever felt like a toaster that just doesn't work and it doesn't have a plug or a socket to go into? You know, you're just a toaster sitting on a counter, no socket, no plug, no electricity, just darkness, darkness on the inside, empty, and no way of knowing how to fill it up. And it hurts so bad and for so long that I am pain. An unending sadness. And what is sadness but absence? And what is absence but the presence of nothing? And where do you find nothing more abundant than in the dark? I had a dream one night. There was darkness everywhere and I couldn't see, and all I could hear was this voice. It said, "Come, come, come." She just kept saying, "Come, come, come." And I wanted really badly to go with her, but I don't know where to go. Where do you go in order to come? I can hear her voice inside my head and far away at the same time. And I know her. She feels so familiar and strange, like someone I once knew, but I had forgotten and is trying really hard to remember, but I can't. I mean, it can't be anything good. Nothing good ever happens at night. Nothing. If it has to happen under the cover of darkness, then it probably shouldn't happen. Nothing good. I mean, nothing good. They told me I was born at night, and all the women before me also. What were they hiding? I mean, nothing good. Just look at this body I was born in, cursed with. I not only came into the world under the cover of darkness, I will forever be covered in it, with all the pain and suffering that comes with it, with all the hell that comes with it. I am darkness when darkness was flesh. I am flesh when flesh was midnight. The gathering place of sin and hatred, the cloak for thieves and murderers. The Bible said, shun the very appearance of evil, but it is hard to shun when the appearance is you. Who wants midnight as skin? Well, there is that woman, the one that says, "Come." When my mother told me the story, she said to me, "Find the dark and you will find her. Find them. They are here for you. She will always be with you. And if you don't, she will come for you." Well, Mount Teton tongue say, when the moon is low and the stars are hiding, the spaces in between is when she comes. In the heart of a fire that has no flame, so vicious, it burns to nothing what you think makes you good. She was the one who lived in the building next door. They say I will hear her in the drums. I will find her in the tears I will inevitably cry. In the echo of the laughter I will unleash fearlessly. Find her in the curves and the bounce in the hips of the women before me. I will hear her in the songs of sorrow. And who has more sorrow than a woman with midnight as skin? Yenge mama, give me yenge, oh. Yenge mama, give me yenge. Why, oh, yenge mama, give me yenge. Yenge mama, give me yenge, oh, yenge mama, give me yenge. Why, oh, yenge mama, give me yenge. Yenge mama, give me yenge, oh, yenge mama, give me yenge.
Why, give me yenge, mama, give me yenge.
Oh, yenge mama, give me yenge, oh, yenge mama, give me yenge.
Why, give me yenge, mama, give me yenge.
Oh, yenge mama, give me yenge, oh, yenge mama, give me yenge.
As part of Action Wednesdays, Harrison Ford stars in The Fugitive, Wednesday at 9 on TCM Movies.
Once there lived a people who did not love the darkness. Their dearest wish was that the night would never come. When the dark came, they endured it with fear and sadness. They never even sang songs of sorrow. At least they would be singing. These people did everything they could to drown out the dark. They filled the earth with everything that would blind themselves of the dark. Ironic, isn't it? They lost themselves. They had forgotten. Well, I am here to remind you. Back then, when the night came, people truly dwell in the dark. They took the time to convene with the God. Under the night sky, people became quiet, so they could hear the messages on the wind and loosen the wisdoms stuck in the throats of whispers. But as time passed, a war was raged, and I had to sit back and hear my children cry, and I couldn't do anything about it. Because I can't get to them. Everyone is running from the shadow. Didn't a man once say, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death," and you got one instruction, one. Fear no fucking evil. Do you know what that means? That means you have to walk through the darkness. It is understood. It's a part of the deal of this life thing, you know. There are going to be some shadows and you're going to have to go through it. But don't worry, all you have to do is fear no evil. But no, everybody decided to run. And the truth is, no evil exists here. It came with you. Sometimes I think I finally got their attention, but 2 pills and a bottle of gin, and there is nothing I can do. You push me further and further away, and all I can do is watch you become shells of who you are, empty shells. And when the emptiness becomes vivid, as emptiness often does, what do? You take more pills and you drink more gin. I came to be in the belly of a ship. I came to be in an ocean of black tears, putrid with the stench of pain and lostness. I was born under the burden of darkness, thick and heavy with the weight of flesh, and I was elevated on songs of sorrow. I mean, one day they came with gags and whips and blood and fire. It was cold, it was wet, and their hearts made salt as they sang songs of great sorrow, and I had to go with them. I will always go with them, as I will always go with you. But you look at me and I know what you think you see. Disgust laid bare. My skin is the testament. You see where your evil comes to hide in the slopes of my breast, the animal you kept locked in the dungeons just beneath the holy floorboards. Listen to this. But people loved the darkness more than the light, for their deeds were evil. Lies! Evil hates the dark. It comes to hide here, leaving your shit at my feet. You come to me because you get to be who you really are, and that terrifies you. If you're not afraid of who you are, you cannot fear the dark and you cannot fear me. I love this one. They will be thrown into outer darkness where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Ah! That is your welcome. Weeping is your fanfare. Who wouldn't weep at the end of their time in limitlessness? You cried. They cry. We all cry in the end. There must be weeping. How else will you find your way? Your eyes weren't needed here. And just before that very same dark, there was groaning and moaning and loving. And you heard the call, a call that can only travel across void. And then you came riding in on waves of weeping. You've been lied to. You've been told to search for joy, for happy. I know they have told you that your life is plain. You have been told in too many ways that your darkness must be punished. Your darkness. The one that God said, wear it and wear it proudly as you were the first. You are the closest to me. You are where peace and infinity are knitted in the fabric of what holds you together in a complex pattern of things that you will never understand. They make you suffer because of their fear and lie to you and tell you to pray for joy. But you are here to live and truly live, and by all things, you shall live. I want your flesh to know the agonies of despair and the sweet, saccharine taste of exuberance. Thrill, feel it and feel it all. And then come here to rest. Lay your head and remember. Remember the purpose of your flesh. Close your eyes and return to the edge. Close your eyes and sink. Release yourself and let the pain that is not yours wash over you. Wade through the agonies, and beyond that, you might hear me. And better yet, you might hear you. You know what? You are missing a part of the story. They forgot to tell you what happened before a kampong. Hey, Baba! Hey, Baba! Oh, come. Hey, Baba! Oh, hey, Baba! Oh, come. Hey, Baba! Oh, hey, Baba! Oh. I saw him one day when I was walking across the field between the great house and the shit house. There was nothing new about this day, back and forth, to and from shit, carrying shit, nothing new. And then I saw him. I saw him at the exact same time he saw me. No, there's nothing strange about seeing or being seen, right? But the thing about it is, I never saw any other people on the grounds. They were not things to be seen, as I was not a thing to be seen. But as I walk across the grounds with the shit bucket in my hand and the smell of cow manure dancing in the air, a simple dart of the eye, and then suddenly I saw him. And then I felt it. I wasn't sure what was happening. I stood there for a minute just to see if I was seeing right. And then suddenly I heard the rustling of a tree to the side of me. And I looked. And there it was. Green. Green and green. The trees were green. I mean, I always knew the trees were green, but it wasn't until that day that I so truly saw the green of trees. I looked from the tree and back to this man, and there he was in full color, black as midnight, wide and deep like an ocean of space. And I imagined, imagine for a second being seen by infinity. I spent what felt like a generation just looking at him, and I knew that I would marry him and we would have 10 children. And since that moment, I felt no pain. All I felt was love, but not his love, my love. I had love and I was feeling it right then. Love was all up in me and all over me. And I lived my whole life never knowing that love was in me or the greens of trees. And that moment I decided I will not live another minute not knowing it. It was a boiling hot day. I just knew something was a brewing. I just knew it. Well, the madam head take her. You know, it's such a funny thing when those who wish you suffering begin to suffer when you no longer wear the suffering for them to see. I knew my love. And with that, I was free. And I wasn't going to give it up to no mistress. But boy, freedom seemed to bond some people. She draw me out one day, accused me of stealing her dress. Word must have gotten around that I was to marry one of them and them. It was brutal. And by that time, I had seen my fair share of brutal. I saw the blood from inside me and it shocked me. The blood between my legs was always there and the hue was always deep, but the blood from my back was bright. It was rich and it was mine. I saw my own blood mixed in pieces of flesh and dirt, and I fell in love, and it was beautiful. The only thing I could think about was that when they whip you like this, till they are exhausted more than you, they don't want to see you. So I will get to see him. So I just screamed and waited. Screaming helps. That night, when I sat on him, I was calling for my first child. I was calling for all 10 of them to come as I come. I have never pumped water like this. As sweetness permeates through the both of us. His fingernails sink into the sores of my backs, and I could hear the night owl flying by. Everything got sharp and more distinct as we wrap ourselves in blood and flesh and sore and flesh and blood and fluid and pain and love and love and love. And I steadied myself and focused on my rebellion to flood myself with pleasure. The sweetest pleasure my soul could bear. And I was loving myself. And what was more is that my love was full and it was spilling over like the gushing, roaring river, powerful and engulfing. And this man was drowning in it. And we drowned in it together. And nothing or nobody or no whip could ever hurt me again. I can never describe to you what it was like the day I set foot on a compound town. The journey was long and hard. And we had arrived just in time as there was plans in place for a rebellion. And we were ready for a fight. I had something to fight for. They blew the abeng on April 7th, the day my daughter was born and the day I gave my life to her. And she will birth generations of women, never forgetting me, us, or them. The love that is in you is what you are made of. You don't have to go anywhere to find it. You are the source, and that is what makes you powerful. And this will make many fear you. But what is in you will redeem you and free you, and lest you forget. I am the dark. And I will come for you. I am the dark, the black cloud rolling in, carrying with it your disease. I am the darkness you think is in some of us. The same one you fear is also in you. I am the place behind your closed eyes, the place where your monsters begin to breathe. I am the place, not the monster. That monster is all you. I am in you and you come from me. I am the space to be free. But I was banished by the light, wrapped me in a misery of the bright white light. Only I am the dark, and soon you will come to me and I will swallow you whole and saturate you with the memories of yourself, and you will die and you will be reborn. Only the dark can do that. So try to remember. Remember me and come. Marada great stone, gots to move. Marada great stone, gots to move. Marada great stone, the stone of Babylon. Marada great stone, gots to move. Marada great stone, gots to move. Marada great stone, gots to move. Marada great stone, a stone of Babylon. Marada great stone, gots to move. Let me tell you about a woman I found. She was dark when dark was misguided. She was dark when dark was rage. She was dark when dark was free. She was dark when dark was enough. She is dark as dark is love. And she is me.